Main scene. Hello. Hellos. Hellos. How you all doing today? I'm just about to render a TIFF file, or like TIFF files, which will be very useful for controlling the watercolor in Rebel. And by mistake, I set it to EXR, and I had rendered EXR, and now I should like switch it to a TIFF file. And like TIFF file is like the best image files that Rebel can read. Well, yeah, okay. And render the background. I think there's too much data going on around on the PC right now. I don't know if you can hear me. Should have turned off CPU usage for rendering. This messed up the mic. Oh no. Okay, my bad. Good. Asking Task Manager for help because like I have to close Blender right now because it's taking up way too much resources. And task and restart it once again. And until then, I'll close all the other programs that are the ones that are taking up too much space. No, I don't want to save them. And this one as well. Even Rebel. And change it back to the files again. And I think it's all easier for it to go right now. Save. And render the background again. Hopefully this time it will work. It's a bit of a huge file. is well. Niche. When you think that you have a powerful PC, you actually don't. Stop embarrassing me. Okay, this time it will surely work. Come on. Come on. Are you kidding me? Come on. Okay, I think I know what's wrong. It wasn't obvious in the beginning, but if I go to my backgrounds, go to plane, go here and set this to 1, and the final scale render will be by 1 pixel. I think this will help a lot. Save. Oh, it's already taking up a lot of memory of VRAM. I'll have to restart Blender again. Okay. And let's render. Oh, Christ. Okay, this was working properly a few hours ago. I don't know what's wrong with it. Probably because I have OBS running, and even though it's not decoding, it is still taking in some things. Oh, okay. I think it has started to render. Great. Okay. Now it's gonna render the height map for my influence structure. I'm like, after I render the height map, I'm gonna use it to like be useful to really control the watercolors, and it'll look pretty good sharing. Like it's actually some things that you have never seen before. I think Across the Spider-Verse tried to pull it off, but they didn't, because back then Rebel didn't came up with but they did have motion IO. I do learn motion IO, by the way. Like also, like it takes me to learn JavaScripting and stuff like that. It's I think it's doable. Like motion IO would be a really good skill set to have. Okay, let me check if the render has gone well. Renders, height maps. And there we go. This is the height maps that I'm going to use for. This is the height maps that I'm going to use for my watercolor simulations. As a structure is what I'm going to use it. So what's going to happen is, when I paint with watercolor on this structure, the water is going to sip in the dark areas and it's gonna run down from the white areas, and I can invert this whenever I want in Rebel built in, which is pretty neat, pretty nice. I love it. And it's not just the backgrounds that I'm gonna use for structures, but also the aliens. So that's what I'm gonna render now. I think it's gonna be pretty quick to render now because it has cached the initial data, and since I had turned on persistent data, my bad. Since I turned this on, if I go and hit render for this one, it will quickly, yeah, it has started on rendering this, which is pretty nice. Reasons that think so long to render, like to wait first, is because the amount of light I used and the amount of light has set up for this render was a bit too high, and also the background had displacements and it had a lot of subdivisions. So like it has a lot of things to calculate on. Okay, now as for the Xenomorph 2. So then let's check out what we have for the rendering 2. And this is the height map of the Xenomorphs that we just rendered. So what's going to happen is when I paint, like for example, if I put a red paint over here, if it's like watercolor, it will run down and it sips in these areas. If you see that, like slowly it gets into creases where it can like form some shapes, and like this can like really look cool with watercolor, and I think that's pretty awesome. And here's our new one, and if you can see, it's over here. I set to composite, no. Here it is. The reasons that's the render over here and the renders that you saw earlier in Photoshop, it's different because I set this to display P3 on RAW, but the ones that was rendered and earlier, like in Photoshop that you saw earlier, was rendered in sRGB filmic, and the normals were rendered in sRGB standard. And there's a reason that I'm rendering this stuff. I have also rendered the height map in EXR because once I finish the painting, I'll use Blender again to use the EXR as a height map to have this bump kind of thing, where I'll like re-render it, and maybe I might add some animations. I don't know. I cannot say for sure. And hopefully I'll finish this 3 painting, and today. I hope I'll like finish it today, and I hope I'm not gonna waste any more time explaining this rough things. especially like if you are new to this, if you are not like a 3D artist or a 2D artist, I'm sorry. Like if you're the type of person that is here to enjoy art, my apologies. It's there's a lot of like technical tacklings that are yet to come along. Okay, let me close Blender because it takes up a lot of space. It's very taxing on the PC, especially the files that I had opened. And now I should open my renders. Here are my height maps, the ones that I just rendered. And like this and this are the same, but this EXR file has more data into it because it's 32 bits and it's uncompressed. It's like 109 megabytes, but this one's like 15 megabytes. You can tell there's a lot of data here. Like more data doesn't always mean sorry, more size doesn't always mean more data, by the way, just so you know. Okay, let me open up some of these EXR files, and I'm gonna send them over to Rebel, but I also should have Rebel opened initially. Okay. Rebel is opening up right now. And this is like one of the best painting softwares to get. Like it is like the best traditional media mimicking software right now. And hopefully it will be the best like for the coming years as well. As for Photoshop, Corel Painter, and Artpage and stuff like that, they gotta keep up because digital art is sometimes very mundane. I can say, like you kind of have to find weird ways to get into it, like what I'm doing right now. I mean, I'm literally using 3D to make paintings. There are other people who do it in this kind of ways, but not exactly. Now I shall open my saved file of Xenomorphs. It has the same size, 4,000 by 1,800 on 600 dpi. But the thing is, if I open colors here on Photoshop, well, it's like 439 megabytes. Like I have to like zip this and send this over to a cloud drive or something like that. So like this is my render. Like the one on the top, this renders is bad. Just like if you look at it, there isn't like a lot of good shapes that are like coming out of this. So like I really focus on what the shape is looking like, and here you can see how the shape is much more appealing. Like I know that it is a xenomorph, and appealing is like the last thing you could say. Like since it's an alien that is like mainly horrifying to most people. And if you like see this curvature, like it's a simple shape, and like there's something that I learned from Marco Bucci, and he said if a kindergartner can cut out the shapes of the drawings that you're making, you have good shapes. And like this top part, this is easy to cut, and like I think a kindergartner could cut it out, could shape this out. So the top parts, it's pretty simple. And as for like the total shape, it's a bit more difficult, but that's how xenomorphs are shaped. So like I'll try to have as minimum details as possible. Like I have to think how much minimum of details I should have for my paintings to go through. Like that's always the things that's coming to my mind when I'm even rendering for my paintings. And there's this one that is a bit more strange. It's a bit more complex, especially like since you have like the T's over here. Like could I or should I make this more simplified? Like I can like make this one entire like single block and add subtle elements of highlights, and it could still look like a tease. But like since this is a horror type of Halloween themed painting, I want to show as much as sharp edges as there's possible. Like as much as eeriness I should capture. I should capture the amount of eeriness there's to the render. The background is a very simple geometry node setup. Okay, not geometry nodes, shader nodes. I just used a couple of procedural nodes in Blender, and I came up with this. It's very simple. It kind of resembles the inhabitants of these creatures, of like these aliens, since they have like pipes and stuff like that, if I remember correctly. Like I've never actually watched the movie, but like I've had glimpses of the movie at one time. Like I used to watch it on Fox Movies or something. Okay, I can now take these three layers to Rebel using a handy tool called Photoshop to Rebel. I can like send this over, but the thing is, like when I choose a layer over here and I say send, it's not gonna send, because the reason would be this is a 32-bit image, and I just have to go to image mode and 16 bits. Don't merge. I'll make like a tutorial for this, like on how to paint over 3D. It's simple. A advanced or an intermediate and advanced artists can get into it. It's not something that is difficult. It's not gonna make you frown, I promise. Now that I have like set it to 16 bits, I can go to the add-on or the plugin and send to Rebel. And now it has sent it. It has sent it. And you can see that it's in Rebel. Let me lessen the texture scale. And yeah, that's much better. I know that it looks smaller over here, but yeah, it is a bit smaller because there's a huge gap that is being used over here. This one is more necessary. This one isn't as necessary as you'd think when you're painting. So I should do this for three of the layers over here and send them and rearrange them. Okay, much better. Now the weight's gonna be three paintings. It's gonna be like let me bring up my rectangular tool, and I'm gonna select this. So imagine this as a singular painting. And then there will be one that has this xenomorph being mirrored and off to the side, and it will look like they're like looking at each other, and this one is not symmetrical, and it shouldn't be symmetrical actually, because like I'll paint the xenomorph twice, like after being mirrored, which is a bit difficult, but like not something tough to handle. Okay, what else? Okay, let's go to other files, and this one is Cryptomats. I can close this one, by the way. It's not important anymore. I could like use it for thumbnail for in the future. Like after the stream ends, I could like remake the thumbnail and like use the painting, the render, and height maps and stuff like that. But for now, I should just close it. There isn't much edits that I've done to it, so it doesn't matter. No, I don't want to save. Okay, and this is Cryptomats, and I used Cryptomats materials because there isn't much objects in this rig. So like you have the body, and you have the gums, and like the tongue, and basically that's it. So this is all those of the Xenomorphs that exists. So what I'm gonna do is change this to 16 bits. Don't merge, and select my layer, send to Rebel, and send to Rebel again. Now what I'm gonna do is a bit weird. Okay. If I go to my selection tool, my one selection tool, and create new layers. This will help me make Cryptomats. Masks. This will help. The Cryptomats will help me to make masks. And now that I have like selected the body, I can like go here and type Xeno2 body, and I'll fill it with white. And once it's filled with white, I can use it as a mask. It can be any color that you want, but since it's going to be invisible, I might as just well use whites because it's more readable for silhouettes. Okay, now I'm gonna deselect my selection, go back to my wand tool, and select the teeth. And yeah, that's it. Go to fill tool and fill the teeth again. Call this Xeno2 teeth. This is gonna be a long stream, by the way. Like I could stream this till midnight, and if anyone like wants to watch this stream, they can. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. I know. If anyone wants to watch the streams, they can. Obviously. Like, what else? Am I gonna unlist it? I might. I might unlist it someday. Okay, gums, right? Like this isn't necessary. Like I'll barely use the masks unless it's necessary. I'll most probably use this most on the body because it has a large surface area compared to the tees and stuff like that. And Xeno 2 gums. Oh, I forgot to fill it in. Okay. Deselect this and select this again. And make a new layer, bring it up. You don't have to bring it up. I just think that's the right thing to do, but it doesn't help in any way. Xeno 2. Inner cheeks. Oh, I accidentally said Xeno 1 for this one. Oh wait. Oops. That's right, that's correct. It's the cryptomats. And now that's done. I'll bring this cryptomat down over here. Put these ones down. Deselect. Reselect this new layer. Xeno 1. It's pretty hard to type with a pen in your fingers in your hand. Okay, much better. Xeno 1. Body. And fill. Go back here. Deselect. Reselect again. Oops. I'm gonna select the teeth again, and the thing is, when this happens, whoops, I think I accidentally put Ctrl-Alt-G. Nope. Ctrl-Shift-G. Okay, that's encrypted. I can select the teeth here, and the thing is, you can select two assets that are not co-joined, and I could say new layer, brings this up, and say Xeno 1. Mouse teeth and tongue teeth, but since this time both of it are teeth, I'm just gonna say teeth. And fill it with white. You can still like use different colors. It's not really a problem. Like if that helps you to find some areas and some shapes, especially like if you have a lot of shapes in your masking, I do recommend using multiple colors, especially like if you're viewing the mask when you're painting on it. I think that's pretty useful. Okay. Also, if Rebel had, colored layers, that would be really useful in Rebel, I think. Like you can set blue for your watercolor layers and other colors for whatever you're gonna use them for, like red for rough sketches and stuff like that, Okay, back to Xeno 1. Select the tongue and the gums with shifts at the same time, and say new layer, bring it up, Xeno 1, and I'm gonna say tongue. Oops, that's not how you spell tongue. Here it is. Tongue and comes. That is how you spell tongue, right? I'm not sure. I'm having a tough time on knowing my spellings. Okay. Those of it are selected. I mean, like, here is also, here's like what you'll use as for the background. You don't need it. So you're gonna paint the background all on its own. You don't need to have crypto mats or masks. And now I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna shift click on these two and I'm gonna group them and just call them useless. I might find use for them later, but for now they're useless. Also, I need to go back to having, I need to open back up my colors because I forgot something, and what I should do is Control Shift W, and that will take me to the exports, and I'll set it to PNG. And I'm not gonna care about what file sizes this is gonna bring. That's not much. And I'm just gonna export it just like this. And I'm gonna go to Xenomorph, paintings, new, and references. And what I'm gonna say is background. I'm going to see it as background. Okay. And this one alone, I'm going to Control Shift W, and it's going to take me to the exports, PNG, transparency, convert to sRGB. This is not necessary. Like, you can turn this off if you want to, but it doesn't really matter. Like, even though I rendered this in a color space that's a bit above sRGB, it doesn't matter if when you're like using it as a reference, unless you're picking colors from it. And also, I have set my colors to don't, what is it called? Where's my color managements? Yeah. I have set it to don't color manage because I'll color manage later after painting. Okay, it's not something to worry about right now. I want as much as colors as possible, then I'll limit it if I ever decide to print. Okay. I hope that explains it. And go to export this. And I'm gonna say Xeno 1 because that was Xeno 1. Okay, now time for Xeno 2. Exports the same settings because Photoshop saves it for you. And Xeno 2. Now what's gonna happen is when I go to Control Shift R here, if I pick my reference images, let me remove these. I can import my references. click Option, and I can like put these all here. Just click plus, and if it doesn't work, remove, remove, and remove. And I'm gonna import like 4 of the background, 4 of the Xeno 2, and 4 of the Xeno 1. This is gonna get slow every time you increase the amount of images you're putting in your file. But thankfully it doesn't increase the RAM usage until you turn them on. So that's the thing. Now I'm gonna turn on background. Now, like when I have this in my file opened, this is gonna increase my RAM usage. So I shouldn't like unhide all of my images at the same time. That's a really bad idea. But like having 4 or 5 images open at the same time, that's not a problem. That's never a problem. There's a reason that I am that I have multiple instances of the same image. I'll get to that soon. It's something pretty simple, which is why I said even intermediate and like intermediate to advanced artists can use this. So like, let me turn off all nails or layers and check this out. If I turn on my like show image on canvas, it's gonna have this, it's gonna like give me a reference to trace on. And I highly recommend you to do not do this from other people's artworks. It's not gonna make you a better artist. It's not gonna like, it's not gonna improve your skills. It's not gonna like help you in any way, unless like you're doing a study, and like if you're like studying the shapes of something and like you're tracing for like studying. I mean, sure, like you can even like do that with opacity, stuff like that. It's pretty much the same thing, but not really. The thing is, when you use this, it doesn't appear in your recordings, which is a bit weird. That's not why I'm using it, but it's mostly because of when it appears in recordings, it's a bit annoying to have. It's not like this, haha, I'm gonna like cheat people and stuff like that. No. Like I already have said, I paint over 3D for a very long time. Okay, not a very long time, because I only started like when I started. I'm honest about painting over 3D. It's not a problem. Like it's your own artwork. It's like sketching, then like inking over your sketch, if you get what I mean. But this time it has like extra steps to it, and you're not just tracing the shapes, but rather in painting you're reinterpreting your own shapes into it with brush strokes and stuff like that. And then you also are taking the color right from underneath, and Rebel has this really cool feature that's called tracing layer, which is originally made for the purpose of tracing. And if I go to my background image and if I hit tracing layer and I like turn it back off, you can see that if I start painting on a new layer, set to pigments, Let me just pick a brush. It's taking up the color underneath right away. It's not like 100% perfect because you can tell it to pick colors from a 5 pixel range and tell it to pick colors from a 1 pixel range. And that kind of makes a little bit of a difference in my experience. I'm not sure if my experiences would count. And just see when I reinterpret this shape. And I switch my screen to show you my reference. It has put on these shapes, or like these brush strokes, and it's taking the colors right on from underneath of my tracing layer. And when I'm painting over here, I'm like adding a bit more complexion towards it. Is that what it's called? Complexion? Adding a bit more variety to my shapes with the brush strokes is basically kind of like, think of it as a rendering method instead of a painting method like for 3D artists. You can think of this as a rendering method, and for 2D artists, I'm not sure. Like, you can use 2D for your paintings. I mean, you can use 3D for your paintings. It's, whatever. But the thing, what I'm afraid of is AI getting really good at making 3D models and people using it as a base model for making their paintings. That would be really awful. But I think the lawsuits are getting closer and closer, and hopefully that kind of thing never happens. The 3D model AI, I know that it exists, but it's pretty terrible right now. But if it gets good, oh shit, it can spawn in a lot of terrible things for artists. There will be a lot of fake prints available on the market. There will be a lot of scammers as a freelancer, and so they, oh yeah, I can 3D model, use this and that, and they give you something that is half-assed, and then that's when you realize it was AI, because the wireframe is pretty trash. So yeah, you can use this to paint over 3D. And you also saw me use normal maps, but that's a thing that I use sometimes. When my painting is not showing me enough shapes, I use normal maps to guide me for my brushstrokes, which is pretty helpful. There's it's a technical and an artistic tackle that I'm using for that. For example, if I turn my backgrounds off, and let's say you see in this xenomorph here, a lot of shapes aren't readable, and yeah, naturally in paintings, what I'll do is just use a huge shape and cover this gap and just add a little bit of highlights to show that there are some cylinders over here, and do the same thing. Yeah, that's pretty simple, but also when I do that, I also want to emphasize the following shapes with my brushwork. And for that to happen, I need to see the shapes, or like imagine the shapes. You can absolutely do it with imagination. Like if you just say a new layer and you can like give it more shapes over here. Like I'm not tracing it from the xenomorph, right, by the way. That's from the background, but it doesn't really matter. Okay. And if I turn off my xenomorph, you have started to see the shapes that are getting fleshed out, and sometimes the brushwork can really help. But this time it's not very visible because it's the colors are very dark and they're like being directly used from here, from the background layer. So I'm gonna clear that. I'm gonna close this background layer. Background. Oh shit! I forgot to put my streams on my socials. Give me a moment. Just get share the link, close that, go to my Telegram. And go to cast regards and post my link. This is taking a bit too much time. And also on my personal channel. And in some groups as well. Okay. I'm audible, right? Okay, I am audible. Great. Cool. I'll be like I'm still here, by the way. I just had to navigate my mouse back to my workstation. Sometimes Logitech can be a bit sometimes their software can really suck. Logitech, that is. Okay, I should continue on painting the background. And yeah, I'm gonna restart this because I want to save a time lapse. My desktop, render files, 3D paintings, and Spooktober, Xenomorph, paintings, new folder. I'm somewhat of an over-organized person, Um, that was not all my files, by the way. A lot of my files are online. Time lapses. And Excel exposure. I'm gonna set this to H265, and I'm gonna render on 216p. And the video size is gonna be exceptional. Yeah, it's somewhat 4K. Not really, but somewhat 4K. Like, I'm also recording on my OBS. Like, I'm streaming and recording on my OBS, which is pretty nice. I have never actually tested the quality of my OBS recording, but I have set it to a really high quality setting. So I hope that's cool. I hope that's fine. How it works. So like everything on here will be recorded and maybe edited for a video. I'm not sure. Okay, a bit nervous to paint this live, and I think that it will be really boring, like, to paint like this. You know, I think you deserve better. So like, you're gonna watch the second screen now. But that wouldn't make a lot of sense now, would it? Like, especially for the recording. I haven't thought about this much. What should I do? If okay, yeah, I think I'm gonna stream on my main output. So yeah, I think this is better because it's also recording, and I'm much more. I would rather be honest on how I'm making this. These paintings. I'm still like rotating the canvas pretty much as a 2D artist, even though like I have everything here. I even still mirror. Okay, well, this looks a bit different. I got used to this so much that this looks different. Yeah, like this will be really cool for that ultra wide paintings that I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I think. Like, it's gonna be like 3 Xenomorphs. Like this Xenomorph in the middle. This Xenomorph in the middle is gonna be like the middle one, sorry. Like, it's gonna be the middle one. The Xenomorph on the left. And like there are gonna be a Xenomorph over here and a Xenomorph over here. Okay. I'm gonna do that in Photoshop, but I'm gonna like paint 3 Xenomorphs in this what is called in this tutorial, in this stream. And the Spooktober stream, how many hours have I spent trying to explain this? Okay, I spent so far nearly an hour. Right, I started at 3:15 p.m. That's when the stream started. Yeah, an hour of not painting. Amazing, right? Like, since I'm gonna be streaming till midnight, you know, not really, not really a problem. I have all the times that I need to finish this Halloween special masterpiece. Okay, it's not Halloween yet, but like, you know, Spooktober stuff. Like every now and then I'm gonna switch to the other screen for you to see the progress. And I'm like also constantly watching my second screen if I'm like getting some shapes wrong, like or if I'm like having some unusual gaps in my brush strokes. That's pretty useful to have. Like even though I can like see through this thing, once it gets filled, it really gets hard to see if there's any gaps. For example, like I wouldn't see this gap normally, and I don't really zoom in this much. But like for your own viewing pleasure, I think I'll just zoom here, and also just for recordings. The time lapse, it's oh shit. I still didn't start the time lapse. Whatever. I'm not gonna erase this one. I've already actually begun painting this. Now there's a thing that I like when I'm like painting. It is turning on the multicolor brush and the dirty brush, which are something a bit fancy for my tastes. I use them a lot, even though like they're a bit too fancy. But I'm not gonna use them right now. I need to like work out and flesh out shapes and colors first. Then I might use the multicolor brush and the dirty brush afterwards. Like in real life, traditional painting, you would actually start in the opposite direction. You would use a much more dirtier brush for like your blockhouse and stuff like that. Like you're making an underpainting first, and that's usually how I paint. But this one is a bit different. This one is like a direct paint over instead of like something that I would make with, I don't know, with underpaintings. Like I usually use a lot of underpaintings, and this one is not gonna have it. Oh, like also the process for underpaintings is pretty much the same. Like I use the same thing, sort of, making the underpainting colors. It takes a bit of time. It takes more compositing time to create them. There's like a lot of processing that goes on before like starting the painting. Even though like even the one that I'm painting right now had to go through some post processing for the colors like to look good. So like yeah, like if you're saying, oh, this is like purely tracing, it's not. I'm not even gonna call it tracing in the first place. So like I'm gonna be really defensive on that because you'd be wrong. It can be tracing when the 3D model that you're using is straight up ripped off from a paid content which you haven't like paid for. For example, like if it's a Kitbash asset made for kit bashing, sure, that's pretty fine. Like you buy that, and since you're also like using it for your renders and you're using it for your games, and why not for your paintings? It doesn't make a lot of sense if you're saying like that's straight up tracing now. Does it like if you're straight up ripping off from other people's Blender files and using their models without their consent? Ooh, yeah, that's something unethical right there. That's basically like stealing someone's artwork. For me, the Xenomorphs are made by a certain artist who is an SFW artist, by the way, and it's free. Like the model is free. I had to do some adjustments to the model, so that it doesn't look as NSFW as it would seem, because I have some people that told me that it really looked like NSFW as in the first render, and I adjusted it. Like the first render is the ones that I used on the previous Xenomorph painting here for October day 2, I think. It was the day 2 painting of Spooktober. And yeah, initially the render had a lot of markings, and I did not like it either. Like after they told me that it looks like it, I couldn't unsee it, so like I had to adjust the model for painting so that it didn't look weird. Okay. Wow, my average view duration is 15 seconds. Why are even people clicking on the video if they're not gonna watch? But also, I shouldn't complain about that. That's their choice. I hope the music is not too loud or too low, or maybe it's my voice that's keeping everyone away. Oh no, I'm being insecure about my voice. It's not looking good, by the way, right now, because I'm not using multicolor brush and dirty brush. Like straight up painting directly from your render can be like a bit challenging, especially when you're using blacks. Yeah, like it's difficult to get some things right. The theme for this October for the theme for this Spooktober is red, as you have noticed. Like if you have been watching my paintings, there's a lot of like reds in my paintings these days. It's for Spooktober, obviously. There are two reasons for this. I wanted this year's Spooktober to be more red because, you know, horror and stuff like that. Even though I don't really watch horror movies, I'm not an enthusiast of that. I don't really like it. But like the idea of spooky season or something, like I kind of like it. Like it sits right with me instead of just indulging on weird murder stories or something like that. Be it fantasy or documentary. I'm not sure if a documentary can be called a horror movie. Okay, like it's not going to be a movie, but like, would it be considered horror if it's a documentary? It can be horrifying. Okay, like the second reason is I feel like Playboy Cardi is gonna release an album called All Red. He's like releasing it like bit by bit, and like recently he released what is it called? Fives? The Fives? No. Let me Google that. Let me Google that for a second. Let me open up Chrome. Let me check. Yeah, All Red. All Red is released. The song, not the album. It's probably the main song of the album, and I jam with it. I like it. Like the song, pretty cool. Even though like most of his music can be trash, this one was really good. He outdone himself. You know, I'm gonna listen to it right now. Like I'm gonna listen to it while making this artwork. Let me just make sure that you don't listen to the audio of my workstation. Okay, yeah, you don't. Good. I really like how the song begins. Oh, by the way, this is what it looks like on like without the reference layer on top. This is what it looks like. But also, if I just turn on my what is it called, my render. if I turn on my rendered layer, it kind of looks good because like you don't see any gaps anymore. I was initially like planning on watercolor stuff, but that will be like for later. Like it'll be like the way I'm gonna show the painting. Does that make sense? Like I'm not gonna use this in Rebuild right now, but I'm gonna use this on a different file. Am I allowed to hum? Like, so that like YouTube doesn't ban me for copyright? Like you hum the exact song, the exact what is it called? The exact music of the song. Would that happen? Would I get banned if I hum? If I hum the music that I'm listening to? Of course. No views. No views means no replies. Personally, I'm only using one brush. Like I'm not going for variety in my brush strokes right now. The reason is because I want it to be more readable and much more simple to look at. It's not something I want to focus on. Like there's already the shapes that's being used, and if I'm like combining the shapes with a lot of different brushworks, that would be a bit more disturbing to look at. Like it would build up more noise, and there's like this technique of composition and using noise, or like that's what I figured out at least. Like if you put more leaves in a tree that's further away than a tree that's closer, your eye will focus on more noise. Or it could be a place that's full of noise, and when something has less noise, like when it's less packed, your eyes more tend to focus on that. I gotta change the song before I get bored. Before I get bored of the song. It sounds like a one-time hit song. you know, there are like some songs that like stay alive for a very long time. For example, staying alive. Ironic, isn't it? Ah, ah, ah. You know, that Staying Alive song. Staying alive. I cannot. I'm not supposed to like sing it in the exact same way. Like, but I can word it. If I sing it in the exact same way, I'm gonna like if like YouTube could kick me out. You know. So like I should be careful. It's funny that how we shouldn't say any curse words or sing and anyone's artwork. You know, makes it upsetting. I can like see the reason why and how it can be harmful to the creators if someone is just ripping off their music and using it as their own for their contents. Like I can see how harmful it can be, but like the fact that they just made it a line not to cross is just something that really sucks. You know, it should be like the ingredient or some kind. I agree with what YouTube actually does for the most part, but sometimes it's just come on, like that doesn't make sense on what reasons they have to ban a person. Like I know that there's someone that has a lisp, and he said something completely different from the N-word, and the auto caption of YouTube decided that it's the N-word, and he was live streaming. He immediately got reported and got banned. And YouTube did not even decide to like check if something was wrong. Okay, like it's, you know, that it's not like one entity, right? Like it's not like a singular entity, and like people usually hate on it as if it is a singular entity, and that's just really weird. Like governments are seen as singular entities, companies are seen as singular entities. It's really weird. Like, you know, the whole Adobe situation. There are actually a lot of employees in Adobe that say no, AI is like gonna be a bad thing for our business and it's gonna crush it, even though like the shareholders are gonna get their money. Like Adobe like could like meet its downfall because of AI, and the shareholders were like, oh no, we ain't, that ain't gonna happen. We want money, more money. And there are employees who agree, like, or like the yes men of the shareholders, and you know, they win most of the times. The yes men of the shareholders. As long as they get money from the shareholders, and as long as the shareholders get money from Adobe, they don't mind. They don't care. They don't care what use it's gonna have, what's having. And once again, the shareholders, not all of them are money. Like some of them know that a long-term investments of Adobe's like investing on Adobe's good areas can like get some more money in the future. But the ones that are like money, they're they're only going for like short-term investments, you know? It's like they would rather eat their cake right now instead of like save it for later, like till it's fully cooked, you know? You know the type of person that doesn't let their pie cool down before eating it? That's basically a lot of shareholders in Adobe. And a lot of companies too, by the way. It's not just Adobe. It's like not all companies, just so you know. In a lot. I cannot say most. It's pretty hard to say most, but maybe the majority. And there are also like really good companies that actually like give a damn about their customers. One of them would be Rebel. Rebel has a more reasonable service, I guess. Like speaking from experience. And this is what it looks like on my first screen, like on my second screen. And going back to painting again. So that was my alarm. This was set to online publishing. But no, I'm streaming right now. I am publishing online, sort of. I'll actually make a course on like painting over 3D. You know, I think that's pretty helpful. Like, so it's basically like the video that I'm making right now. What I say in this video is like being recorded, so like I can like rewatch my own video, take notes from what I'm saying, because sometimes ideas just pop up on what you're saying. Like when you're saying stuff, like ideas could like pop up, and you might not get the same ideas when you're like sitting alone in the bathroom and just thinking how to make your course. Speaking from your experience. I think this is gonna look good once after I add some color jitter to my painting and some multicolor brush and dirty brush features to it. I guess it'll start to look good after this. Look out for the background. You know, you might say, wait, if the background is taking this long, how long is it gonna like take you to make the Xenomorphs, to paint over the Xenomorphs? It's gonna take long. Like start from a simple blockhouse looking thing, or like I'll start from really low details or high details. I'm not sure. It depends on my mood. Like do I want to do this, or do I not want to do this? At the same time, I'm having some thoughts in my mind on how to, like, how much low detail can I go to send the image to the viewer? Like, how low can I make it? And like that's pretty useful when you're thumbnailing, and then when you're blocking out. But like when you're fleshing out your painting, when you're rendering, like still it should have that thought, but like there's a things that you have to also think about, like what details can I add to tell a story, right? And that's actually something pretty useful. Like there isn't a lot of stories in my paintings, especially like the Spooktober, this Spooktober challenge. Okay, it's not a challenge. It's just something, guys, that I made for myself, that I assigned myself to do. Okay, turn on the background and second screen. Okay. Yeah, this is kind of starting to look good. And now I should just add some color jitter, or first let me try multicolor brush and dirty brush and add the details with this. I guess this will start to look more like a painting with this one. Like think of it as a painterly render, you know? Not like as a master painting or something, because that's some things that you cannot really achieve with this, unless like you're pretty good at planning your compositions, your colors. Like if you are able to limit the colors in your renders, which is like almost impossible, because like ray tracing doesn't really work that way. And getting that through compositing is also something that is pretty difficult to get along with. My seat was too low, and I was starting to feel my butt cheeks to get cramped. Okay, this is gonna start to feel like a painting pretty soon. There will be days when I'll like master this this technique pretty soon. I think I'll master this pretty soon. Like not like soon, like a week soon, but like a few months. In a few months I'll be able like to make full-on sculptures with like rendered and stuff like that, like a whole model, and just use it once for painting, and that's it. And maybe twice, I don't know. But right now I mostly use like human generator for making 3D characters, and I adjust the characters with sculpting. Which is not an important information right now, but just I just like would like to put that out. Okay, color jitter it is because I have not progressed a lot with the multicolor and dirty brush, so I'm just gonna apply some color jitter. Okay, I should set it to sRGB, I mean HSV color space, and also the slider should be HSV. Okay. Right now I'm only gonna use hue jitter. You know, they say Playboy Cardi is actually starting to sound like Future, but like, if you haven't noticed, Playboy Cardi has a song that has a lyrics that goes, "Woke up and people talking like me, woke up and people sounding like me," and those are the words of Playboy Cardi and a lyrics. And him sounding like Future right now is wild. It's something laughable. Like, bro, what's wrong with you? Like, Future doesn't sound bad. Like, to be honest, he sounds good. There's no comments I could give about his vocals. But Playboy Cardi starting to sound like Future is a bit funny because, yeah, Playboy Cardi always used to say, "These people are starting to sound like me. They only want to sound like me now." I think I'm gonna enlarging the color jitter area. And let's see what happens when I use color jitter now. Not much. What if I use it somewhere bright? Oh yeah, there's some purples to it now. Okay, pretty cool. Has purples and oranges, and this will like convince your eyes from afar. To look like, oops. It'll look like red without being red, you know, because orange and purple have red in between them. Like, it's that red is the bridging gap of orange and purple. Like, for example, if I use blue and red, like, I'll start to see purple, right? Does that make sense? Oh yeah, I'm digging the multicolor brush with my color jitter. Oh, by the way, color jitter is something that I kind of made in Rebel. Like, it doesn't come with color jitter. I'll make a tutorial for it. Yeah, it's something special. It's something special to get to use. Like also the color jitter in Rebel, like the ones that I'm using right now, looks really sick. It's way better than the color jitters that I have ever used in Photoshop, in Krita, in Autodesk Sketchbook. It's like way better than any color jitters that I have ever experienced, because that's just because these two right here, multicolor brush and dirty brush, like it really boosts like the capability of color jitter. Like I love this. It's like way too. I feel like I don't deserve this, to be honest, but like I have it and I'm using it. I'm gonna use the color jitter on the highlight areas, because that's the area where there's more saturation, and more saturation and the difference of colors is showing more saturation and more color jitter is basically allowing you to see more color differences. Like there's more variety when you're changing your hue if your color is on a higher saturation. But if your color is on a lower saturation and you're like changing around the hues, you barely see the difference unless you have tetrachromia. That's something that some people have, which is useful to a certain extent. Now, like when I'm using it on darker colors, darker areas, you can barely notice the color difference. Like it's almost unnoticeable. I'm starting to add details for the background, and I want to make it somewhat as simple as possible, but also I want variety in color, but not in brushstrokes. How does that make sense? Variety in color, but not in brushstrokes. Having variety in color is like a huge win. Especially like if you're like keeping it pretty, if you're keeping it low key. Like mine is not low key. I believe. I think that the color jitter is very visible. It's very, look at this type of thing, and I kind of want that too. But having brush variety in this complex structure, it's gonna add a lot. It's just gonna be noise. I swear I cannot get over the fact that Playboy Cardi is actually starting to sound like Future right now. Bro ain't Future. What if Playboy Cardi becomes Future and they start to mention Future in the past tense? You know? You know how there are like some artists that name themselves after whoops. Close and close. I should have disabled notifications for like starting my stream. But I didn't do that. I didn't disable my notifications. No, did I? No, I did not. Yeah, I think the background is complete. I might like work on it later, but for now, I think this is enough for now. I'm gonna select a new layer, and I'm gonna call this Xeno 1. Oh. Okay, let me turn off my backgrounds. Now Control Shift R. Turn off my reference layers and go for Xeno 1. And of course, I forgot to save the file. I should always do that because you never know. Even though Rebel doesn't crash as often as Photoshop, I guess it crashes way less often. You never know what could happen. It could even be like a system issue. So like, always save your files. You know. I'm giving you like the most basic advice that any artist would give you. Unless you want to be like some kind of traditional inspired artist who doesn't use undos, and like if your file crashes, that's it, you know. Imagine if you had to go through that. Okay, imagine if you had to go through that with Adobe Animates. You'll never finish a project, I assure you. Like, you never save, you never use an undo, and you're animating, right? And if it crashes, that's it. Like, you're a goner then. How many frames have I dropped so far? 0. Oh my god. 0 dropped frames. Yo, that's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty good. Okay, Xeno 1. Let me turn on the reference layers. And now, what I'm gonna do is change my canvas color to black. Say okay. And now I'm gonna turn off my background. I'm gonna switch it off, including the tracing layer. And I'm gonna lock my background because I don't want to paint on it, even though I like when I turn it back on to see what's happening. And I'm gonna start painting on this xenomorph. Like, this is what I'm calling paint over, even though like I'm kind of painting under. Like, you're tracing, but under the tracing paper. Like, Does that make sense? Like this is like an overlay on top of your canvas, and when you're painting over it, does it make sense? Also, like I should turn this to a facing layer so that I can take colors from it. Yeah, since this is very clear now. I mean, not clear, sorry. Since this is not very clear looking, should like turn off the first two references. Okay, now I can see my colors better. And change my brush. I have multicolor brush turned on because I want to have color variety in my blockouts. So I told you it's based on my mood. And also I'm gonna select Xeno 1 tongue and gums and mask the layer. So right now if I wanna paint, it's not gonna get out from my masking, which is pretty cool. I really like the way I can like see colors with music, like at the same, like when I'm painting as well. Like it's not useful, but like it's more entertaining for me. I should like keep it as simple as possible and use simple brushstrokes to convey the shapes. Yeah. Then the highlights. Yeah, starting out with the tongue. Not usually the things that people really go for. Like usually, a painter would actually like think about the silhouettes and like does a huge blockout, and like you don't have to do that here because like really like this render like took me 4 hours to make. And yeah, this is my blockout. Okay, so my render is my blockout, even though it kind of is not. It kind of is at the same time. Should move. Oh shit! I kind of sings the song for a while. No, I was just saying shut him up. I was not saying it. Don't ban me. Bruh. I need to open what is called a playlist instead. Playlists of what I've been listening to so far. Okay, the tongue is complete, and let me just go for the body of the Xeno 1. Yeah, Xeno 1 body, and turn that into a tracing layer, and there it goes. Start with a highlight and go around it. Since like I have multicolor brush turned on. Now the blacks. Now the blacks are gonna have colors. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, this is gonna look really artistic. Like painting in this method, I would actually recommend you going from light to dark. Some areas should not have visible colors. Like black on black is sometimes really good for making lost edges or soft edges, or like soft edges are like near to lost edges. Speaking of edges, do you know that you can make paintings that make people think they're seeing an edge, but an edge does not exist over there? Like at first you'd think that, oh, that's lost edges, but no. The shapes that you have created with your painting, like half of the body of the shape that you created is like, let's say it has a hard edge or a soft edge or something like that. And the mind is going to be like, okay, like I see this shape right here, so it's probably ends in some other way. Like it's going to imagine a certain shape like it's going to end with. And what happens here is like your brain gets fooled on the shapes that it's like seeing without seeing shapes. Like with only little shapes you can make it think that it's seeing shapes. Like I think that's like peak painting or drawing skills right there. Like if you're able to do that like naturally, like without doing some kind of a what is it called, some kind of an additional thing, that's like pretty impressive. I think you're called a master at that point. Okay, like maybe not a master, but like something between a master and a professional, because I know that professionals don't really do that. and professionals these days are just people who are in the industry, and that's who professionals are basically. So like, there's no professional still life painter. A still life painter is not gonna get hired in the studio, you know. But the way that people just claim themselves as professionals these days is just baffling. Like, you can like see someone's Instagram profile or Telegram profile, and they're like, "Oh, I'm a professional artist with this niche," or like they don't even have a niche, like probably, and they're like, "Yo, hire me. Like I got like skills in everything, and like professional." Yeah, I doubt that. I highly doubt that. So like, people are just calling themselves professional just to get jobs. Meanwhile, like, that's not really a bad thing. But it can be a bad thing. Like, when it happens a lot, then the word professional is like overused, and the word professional doesn't ring anymore. For me, I would say I'm an advanced artist. I will be a professional somewhere. I believe I'll be a professional somewhere in like the next year. So far, it has been 3 years, like, since I started digital arts. So like, in 4 years professional, I think that's a pretty good speed, pretty exceptional. Like, not that I'm patting myself on the back, but like, I quit. Like, not like, okay, I didn't quit. I didn't even begin to go to university, because I said, you know what, I'll make it at arts, and I will. I actually believe that. And so like, so far so good. Like, it's going well, except like for the monetizing my work. You know, that takes time, especially the online presence and stuff like that. Those things can like take time, because like, the way you present yourself like on social media can matter a lot. Like, if you started to present yourself as a beginner, and you're starting to get followings, and like, people are like amazed by your progress, right? What you're installing on people's head, in people's head, would be, you're like always this progressing person who is like kind of stuck at a certain level, like, but not really, even though like you actually grow as an artist and as a person, like, over the years. People like do not think about that when they like see your progress. Like, honestly, like, they actually don't. So like, there are like ways for this not to not happen. Like, I didn't use them, but like, I know that's way they would work. And one of them is just to sometimes outdo yourself, like, bite off more than you can chew, and like, really try to succeed in like what you like set out to do. Like for it could be a painting, it could be a drawing, it could be It could even be music, whatever type of artist you are, and when like they see those things, like when they see you're like really trying like really hard, like that's what like gets to people's heads, like yeah, like this person like is being a professional, and like not really that it really matters on how the general public sees you, but it matters on how your clients sees you. Or maybe you could be an independent artist who doesn't have clients, who is not freelancing. Then like your public image is more necessary to build up, like on social media or somewhere. I'm not sure, like since I'm much more of a social media oriented person, for the sake of artwork, I don't know how else you're gonna be able to monetize your art. Sure, like there are definitely like ways for you to do that, but like I don't know. I'm not sure on how you can do that. Okay, I'm reaching the areas where I need normal maps for me to see the shapes properly and like for me to implement them in my own way. Oh, so far this is what it looks like on my second screen. Pretty good, huh? And the thing is, I'll use a opacity masking later on, so that this area, that's the cranium of these creatures. The top area is like transparent, and when it gets transparent over there, you can like see the background a little bit, and it's gonna look really, really cool. I assure you, it's gonna look really cool. Okay, I think I have wasted 2 hours of your time. Okay, and it's not a waste. It's not a waste. I'm painting. I'm not wasting my time. Ooh, this is where it starts to look good. Like like the eeriness of the creature. This is where it shines, like that blood red jaw muscles, and that's because of the lighting. It's not the creature itself. It's the lightings that I used. And like the lightings that I used also makes it look like it has an eye, but it doesn't have an eye. Kinda cool, huh? How you can like make things that don't exist and it makes them seem like they exist. Yeah, visual arts can be like really fun. You can kind of do the same thing in music, by the way. Like, you can make your audience expect a certain note every time in your music, but not give it, and just give them a different note, and like they kind of go along with it. Have you like ever experienced something like that? And I have. It's pretty wild when they do that in music. I really like it. Like I also like it in art, by the way. It's just that in music it's much more impressive to pull off. Visually, you can just like use some optical illusions or like some lights, like the lights that I'm like using right now. In music, it's a bit different. Okay, not a bit, like it's a whole different world. But like, since I'm a synesthete and like I can like visualize music, it's, how can I say this? It's a Bose world experience when they do that. Like when they change up the beats or when they leave a different notes. Like if let's say if it went from an A minor to a C sharp, like it's not something that you would actually expect, and it can also like go well. I by the way, I'm not a music what is it called? I'm not a musician. I just know about music. So like, if I did know about music, by the way, I would be an art god in the future. Like if I had knowledge on music, but that's not what I want. That's not what I'm aiming for. Like I do want to be a master artist or a grandmaster in the future, like when I'm at least 50 or 40 like years old. Like now I'm 22, but like when I'm 40, I expect myself to be a grandmaster, which is somewhat of a realistic expectation on what I'm going for, but also I don't know what the future holds. You know, AI could like take over the whole shit, but it's most probably won't. So I don't worry about that. The softwares that we use could be like really advanced, and maybe like people will be allowed to will have access to paints or sculpts like pretty easily. Like imagine imagine a hologram that you can touch, like not like touch screen hologram, but rather like that you can lean on. You know, a collection of photons that you can lean on. That would be like really cool. But like I don't think that's gonna come in 20 years time. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. I don't know. You never know what the future holds. You know, sometimes the things that you say, oh shit, that doesn't make sense, like that will never happen, could be the next thing that could be invented. Like you never know. Like if I was like in the 1930s and if someone like talks about a super collider, I'll be like, nah, how the hell can you do that? That's impossible, right? That's how we people are sometimes. We can make ourselves believe that something is impossible without knowing what is actually going on. You know how your grandma is like very protective of you, and she'll be like, my grandson didn't do that. Like he wouldn't do that. He would not do that. Even like after she sees you steal a cookie from the cookie jar or punch someone on the streets, and she'll be like, nah, he didn't do that. No, mom, no, my baby, no. Grandmas are not snitches. You learn from your grandma. I'm just kidding. So sometimes snitching can be helpful. for the greater good. Okay, time for my second screen thing. And yeah, it's going pretty good. Like the background was starting to make me doubt if like the stream was gonna be awful, but like it's doing good. Stream is doing good. Well, the stream is not actually doing good. I see artists. The stream is doing terrible actually. There's no viewers right now. If you're a person that's forwarding the video and you found this, if you're still on this area and listening, hello. I'm starting to get close to the areas that I need normal maps, because it's hard to see the shapes over here. I'll be right back. I need to go with. In that case, I was going to joke, but like, nah, that's gonna be a bad joke. I'll be back. Be right back.